Hey, thank you, Lindsay, for giving me this opportunity today. Very excited to share my perspectives on how agile or certain agile techniques and the application of certain agile principles can help us with alignment. And so the purpose of this presentation is to not talk about mirror mirror and how that can help. This is about what else can help in the process of alignment. And I will start with a quote with which some of you may be familiar. So bear with whilst I get this set up. Now, can you see that? Can you?
No.
Has failed. Screen sharing has failed to start. Please try again. Share.
The option is on.
Screen share. Back to meeting. Let's try again. Here we go. Share. Yeah, I'm sharing a screen, but that's not in presentation mode, right? So if I do this, are you now seeing the whole slide?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, okay, good. They're ready to go. All right, so I'm Richard Atherton. I'm a partner with First Human. We're a leadership development consulting and coaching firm. I also have a long history of working in agile ways, coaching agile teams. So I'm somewhere at the intersection of agile and leadership development. And of course, aligning leadership teams is a big part of the work that I do, hence my involvement with Mirror Mirror. And I am a trained, what do we call ourselves? Trained Mirror Mirror practitioner?
Practitioner, yeah, probably
yes, good. I'm one of those. Okay. All right, that's me.
You said you wouldn't talk about Mirror Mirror.
Well, I won't. It'll be a glancing reference. So this is from Peter Drucker. The task of leadership is to create an alignment of strength so strong that it makes the system's weaknesses irrelevant. And one example of that, for those familiar with the English football Premier League, and we'll know that this is the winning team from Leicester City in 2016. On May the 2nd, Tottenham Hotspur failed to beat Chelsea, which propelled Leicester to the #1 spot. Now, Leicester, bear in mind, had a wage bill of about a quarter of their rivals at the top of the league. They were a 5,000 to 1 shot. So anyone who put a bet on Leicester that season on winning would have made a fortune. So individually, their players were relatively weak compared to others in the league, but collectively they aligned such that they won the league. And the question is, so what is it that the coach did right? What is it the team did right to align in that way to allow them to succeed? Well, a number of things. One can speculate. The one is that there was presumably a very clear goal, a clear set of principles, a clear set of values that the team is expected to adhere to. And that is the domain, I suppose, of Mirror Mirror, is to inquire into the extent to which people are aligned around some very specific articulations of the direction. What Ralph Stacey, the complexity thinker, for anybody who's familiar with him, might call social objects. So these social objects are put into a population, be it a goal, a target, win the league, and they get interpreted and translated by everybody in that population. And how they get interpreted determines the actions of that group and the extent to which that group will align or not align around a particular goal or purpose or objective. And of course, Mirror Mirror is great at surveying and inquiring into the extent to which a team or a group is aligned. And that's not what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about what else from an agile perspective can be used in the process of alignment. I'm going to talk about three things. The first is working out loud, working publicly. So one of the ways that these purposes, these missions, these objectives, often set by senior leaders, obviously get taken up by the population is they turn into work. People get on with things, they start engaging in activities. And to the extent to which we can make that work public and available for others to observe, to inquire into, to understand, is the extent to which we can achieve some level of alignment in a group. And this is a photo taken from some work that I did with the division of a major broadcaster. And one of the things that we got into a pattern of doing every month was for each work stream on this particular change program to share all of the work that they were involved in, and in a sort of village fete style format, or an open space style format, where people could circulate around these various tables that are set out. One of the tables might be the way that the organizational design was changing and what the roles and responsibilities, how they were being updated. That might be one table. The new tech, we had a beta version of a new production platform that was being created. That was on another table. We had another table around innovation and what was new and what was at the cutting edge that we were exploring as part of this change program. But the point being here that everybody comes into the space with what it is they've got to share and opens up for others to discuss, to challenge, to question. And so by having this open conversation about the work that's being done as it emerges, it enables us to have conversations which result in alignment. I mean, at a simple practical level, I can say, okay, they're working on this thing. How does my work align with those? Or maybe if I'm doing this thing and I can see it's being done over there, I may drop the thing I'm doing, or I might go and join that team and work with them. But those types of interactions and insights can emerge when you're working out loud in this way. This is a specific forward. We create a ceremony around it, a meeting around it, but it can be as simple as just making your work in progress public in other ways, be it on digital boards around the working space. However, whatever means you have at your disposal to make your work public. So that's the first principle that I would suggest from the agile world we can apply in promoting alignment within groups. Now, the second principle here is really founded in this idea of listening. So if we consider that the social interactions that happen within a group to a large extent will determine the degree to which the quality of those interactions will determine the degree to which people are able to align, then what drives the quality of interactions? It's the quality of listening. How well are we listening to each other? And if I'm a leader and I put a goal out there or a mission out there, to what extent am I listening to others? Because that will determine how much what it is that I'm saying resonates. How likely are people to follow me will to some extent be determined by how well I've listened, how well I've understood my population, how well I'm likely to say things that resonate. So how do we create spaces where good listening happens? Well, one way is to really think carefully about our meeting structures. And a practice that's now very common in agile teams is this idea of the lean coffee. So that's where we democratize the meeting. We give everybody a chance to propose topics for discussion. We put them on a Kanban or a task board where we effectively have a to-do list of conversation topics. We time box the conversation around each of those topics, and we have a neutral facilitator moving the conversation along and ensuring that the topics get talked about in sequence. And so if we put a leader into one of these formats, it encourages them to listen. And it also means that they are no longer in charge of the agenda. The participants get to to ensure that whatever questions or concerns that they have get focused on in a safe way, as opposed to that sort of creeping death Q&A at the end of a major presentation, or which can feel very unsafe for people. By creating a more democratized meeting space, we can ensure or at least promote better listening. Like we increase the odds of leaders listening to those people who are taking up the social objects, to use that term again, the social objects that they put into the space. So that's the second principle here. So these ritualized meetings that promote turn-taking and good listening would be the second. The third, which of course perhaps is most familiar to people when we think of agile working, is the idea of iterative development. So we don't go away into a dark room with a great big long spec of whatever it is we want to build and then come back X months later with the finished product. We start with prototyping to validate our assumptions. We check with our user group the extent to which what it is that we're developing meets their needs. We take feedback, we iterate, we go again, we go again, we go again, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. But when it comes to alignment, I think this is another one of the facets of agile that helps us align, is because everybody else in the population can see very early how this particular goal has been interpreted. What are people making of it? What are they actually producing as a result of this? And so when you marry this with working out loud, these fast cycle iterative working, and you make that public to the population, that's all of the stakeholder population, you're increasing your odds of alignment, or at least identifying where people are misaligned, and you're able to course correct more easily. So those are the three facets of agile that I think can be used to promote alignment. The first that I talked about is working out loud. The second is these democratized, ritualized meetings that promote turn-taking and listening across the hierarchy. And the third is working in an iterative way. So that's my presentation.